Thank you for joining today's security training session. Is it safe to open my email? Dial-in instructions are here in case you're seeing the slides and not getting the audio. Just a reminder for all. So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about email security. Is it safe to open my email? The call will last approximately 20 minutes. If you haven't already done so, go to our website, ikaru.com, and click on the View Presentation link in the What's New area. This is a listen-only call. That's for call clarity in case you need to put a call on hold. We won't all hear the music. If at any time you have questions, email info@ikaru.com. Nancy's standing by, or just call our main number, 978-692-4200. And if you think of something later this afternoon or next week, please email, call us anytime. Info goes to Nancy, Brian, and myself, so we'll definitely get that. So our workshop mission is to help you get more from the technology you already have, and also to introduce you to new technologies you need to know about, and also stay safe with the technology you have. So the message is, don't open every email. The question, how can I get a virus when I have up-to-date antivirus protection? And the answer is by installing it yourself. Or how do you fall victim to an online threat? The reality is, security is an ever-changing kind of a cat and mouse game. As users put more protections into place, antivirus, perimeter security. If you're on Ikaru managed service, you have best practices, sonic wall router, business class router with comprehensive gateway security suite, open DNS protecting, all these layers of protection. Well, there's still ways for things to get through. There's no such thing as 100% security. If you unplug your computer and lock it in a closet, yeah, you'll be safe, but you won't be able to do anything either. So there's basically three different flavors of attacks that we're going to talk about today. One is just flat out scams. Crime has been around forever. Email's just a new way that the bad guys can do things. Phishing, where people are trying to get your credentials, or spear phishing, where they might identify you by your username. They might have some of your information. This is just an ever-changing field. And of course viruses, and there's some really bad viruses that are circulating around. So how do threats get through? So this is showing on your inbound email. So your inbound email, somebody's sending you something, and it's going to go through a spam filter. It's going to go through perimeter security, and we always advise filtering spam before it even gets to the mail server. We get a lot of questions about that. Should I use the Outlook junk? Really, our best practice is filter the mail before it even gets to the mail server, before it gets to you. And that way it's filtered in one place for your phone, your iPad, wherever you get your mail, you filter it once. Perimeter security, that's the sonic wall, comprehensive gateway security suite. Endpoint security, that's about the antivirus, malwarebytes that you have at your site. And then there's the user. Okay, so stuff can get through these layers, and then it really relies on the user knowing what to do. So there's a lot of kind of recycled email scams. I mentioned earlier, crime's been around forever. So there's all kinds of things that have been floating around forever. Bogus business opportunities, a confidential business deal, chain letters, work at home, health and diet scams, guaranteed loans or credits, discount software offers. There's all kinds of stuff out there. 90% of all email volume in the world is spam. So it's huge. We filter hundreds of thousands of messages each month for our clients on spam filtering. But even of what gets through, there's still stuff you need to be aware of. So one of the common things is spoofed messages. And what a spoofed message is an email that's designed to look like it's coming from somebody else. You probably have seen this. You get something from Bank of America. It's not from Bank of America. You get something from eFax. It's not from eFax, UPS. These kind of things are designed, you see it come in, you might have 50 messages, 100 messages that just came in, you're processing through them quickly. These kind of things are socially engineered to trick you into opening them. Some can contain viruses like Cryptolocker. That's the crypto variations are about the worst viruses out there right now. Then there's the phishing, the spear phishing, where they might have they're trying to trick you into logging in somewhere, and it's the message is not from Bank of America, but they're tricking you to log in with your Bank of America credentials. They're socially engineered. So people, you might have a business bank, a personal bank, you might carry a couple of different credit cards. You're probably doing business with a number of different banks in some way or another. And they can trick you. These are some examples of the ones that we've seen around. Scan from a Xerox work center. Lots of people use the Xerox scanners. You might see that come in. It's like, oh, this is important. I got to get to it right away. U.S. Postal Service, missed package delivery. ACH notifications, some of these are fakes from ADP payroll. ADP widely used by a lot of small businesses. One of the tricks here is that somebody in your organization might get one of these reports and think, oh, wow, I've got the payroll report. It's in my inbox. I got it by mistake. No one knows I have it. I'm going to take a peek at this. So you can see how they trick you. Voice messages, Dun & Bradstreet, that one was floating around for a while. There's been a negative report about your business. So a diligent employee is going to jump on that right away. And that's how they trick you. The fake Verizon wireless bills. We had a user who was caught by one of those, has teenage kids, got this fake message with a giant invoice and thought, oh, wow, what do my kids do now? And he just got really mad and opened it up and wound up with a virus. And then the big one that's floating around now and kind of prompted us to pick this for our monthly topic is there's a lot of wire transfer requests. And so the short answer is if you see any email come in asking you to do a wire transfer, and I'll show you there's some real clever ones, just stop, pause, and I'll show you why. Here's an example of a fake message. This is a fake from U.S. Postal Service. So it's saying, we couldn't deliver your package, please come and get it, and then there's a link that you can click on. But if you hover over this link, don't click on the link, but if you hover over it, if you're interested, you could see that the actual link is not what they say it is. And this is just, if you know how HTML works, you can put anything on a link. For example, when you click to view this presentation, it says view presentation, and it goes to our website where we have our slides. But from an untrustworthy source, here they make this whole thing. They've even put the HTTPS, S for the secure socket layer. They give you this whole big thing, the ID with the tracking number. It's not what the link is, though. And here's how they can get you on this. You're busy, you have a package. We had a user, again, working with hundreds of businesses, lots and lots of users. A manager got one of these once and forwarded it to his employee. Hey, you know what? We need this package. I'm busy. I'm going to get my assistant to do it. Now the assistant receives the message from an authority figure, her boss, and said, wow, okay, diligent employee, got to get on this right away. Clicks on the link and gets a virus. So this is how it all works. If you could forward the message to somebody else, and now it looks like it's coming from an authority. And the threats change all the time. They're definitely getting more sophisticated. Cryptolocker, in terms of the viruses you can get, Cryptolocker, CryptoWall, CryptoGamer, there's a whole bunch of variations of these. These are the most destructive viruses, and if you get one of these, you may not know anything's going on right away, but what will happen after a while is one of these screens will pop up, and it's basically asking you for a ransom. The hackers, criminals, whatever you want to refer to them as, they don't actually have your data. They can't see your data, they can't read your data, but they've basically vandalized all of it. And if you don't pay the ransom, then you don't get your files back. Now, you should not pay criminals unless it's an absolute last resort. And in fact, there were 2 police departments in Massachusetts who got hit with this virus, did not have an adequate backup, and did wind up paying the ransom. Highly, just very risky, and we would only advise as an absolute last resort. The original Cryptolocker variation was actually, the person who did that was actually caught, and those keys were revealed, so if you got one of the older ones, you actually can unlock. But robust backup is going to protect you in this case. So all of these CryptoWall, Cryptolocker are a class of virus known as ransomware. Basically, everything you got in your files is vandalized, and they're going to hold it ransom. If you have a rock solid backup, you go back to your backup and you're going to be okay. Clean up the virus, get your files back. These can come as email attachments. A lot of times they're hidden in zip files or executables. They're also drive-by viruses. You can get them right off of websites as well. System communicates with a remote server, and then your files get encrypted. There's always going to be new variations because these folks actually collect millions of dollars from folks. And some people might just say, "Oh, I'm going to pay and just get rid of this problem," but now you're identified. It's a really devastating form of a virus. Another kind of attack is phishing. And here's one that's actually came to my own inbox. I just cut off some of the headers and stuff. It says undisclosed recipients, and it's from the email administrator. Now, I immediately knew, since we administer email and we're the network administrators, I know the message wasn't from us. So it was obvious to me, but it might not be obvious to a user. But here they say your mailbox is almost full, and it's very close. And if any of you have ever had a full mailbox, it's a real pain, because your mailbox fills up and then no one can send you mail, and they all get these bounce back messages, and they can't communicate with you. So it's a major problem. So here's one again, socially engineered. It's like, wow, I got to jump on this right away. I'm going to click on this activate link and put in my username and password so then I can expand my mailbox. Don't do it. These are total fakes. They're tricking you. I don't show the hover over here, but if you hover it over that activate, it's not going to your mail server. It's going somewhere else. This is another example. If you can zoom in, this is one that's ACH notification. It's a fake message, supposedly coming from ADP payroll. A lot of red flags. This is kind of one that's not very well done. Bunch of email addresses here, and then there's some variations of my name. It's not the right subject header for a payroll notification. The dates don't match. They're saying download the report from Dropbox. There is no way on earth that ADP would put sensitive files in Dropbox. Dropbox is a fabulous convenience tool. It's not really secure. This is not a place where ADP would put info. And then if you look at the link, it says Cubby, which is the Mozy. There's a lot of products like Dropbox. Mozy has one. It's called Cubby. There's all theme and varies, but nothing matches here. And then there's no signature at the bottom either. So slow down before clicking. And this one's particularly bad. You know, we mentioned that about the payroll. The payroll ones are really slick, I think, because when they say there's a payroll report, you might have an employee who just thinks, wow, this is right here, right in front of me. I can look and no one knows I have it. That's going to cause, all you need is one person on your network opening one of these, and they can damage a lot of stuff on your network. So extremely important. Just as an aside, I mean, the reason we do all this training, mass data security law, HIPAA regulations, a lot of industry security laws require employee training, and this is exactly why. This message could be in any inbox of any of your employees, and if they don't know what to do, again, if you're trying to get all the spam filtering, the perimeter security, getting all that in place, but one can sneak through, and that's all it takes. This is one, a TDBank example. I pulled this one from my own mailbox. Again, we're protected by everything. You know, we use our own best practices on ourselves, but one can sneak through. I don't have any accounts with TDBank, so I immediately knew this is wrong. If I hover over the link, it's from a totally different location. Another thing you can do is there's a header that's a very detailed set of information on emails. If you look at the email and then you go to File and Properties within the email, just like you can do on a Word doc or PowerPoint, in there you can see that the return path is from a totally different company. It has nothing to do with TDBank. And this is the kind of stuff, at Icaria, we live this, we breathe this, this is what we look at. This is not the level of something that an end user would be expected to know, but we're just kind of showing you some of the tricks that you could use to look if you question something, you know, whether or not something's legitimate. Now, here's yet another escalation of what's going on. This is kind of a scam. It's known as a confidence trick. And I've had to change this because this actually happened to a user where the employee was named by name, the boss was named by name, and it says, hey, can you execute this wire transfer? Now, there's a couple of flags in here about how it's written. Another funny thing is they try with this whole confidence trick, they try to build familiarity by using names. Now, everything's out there on LinkedIn, Facebook. People can just harvest this information. It's on your website. They can figure this out. They have automated tools to get this. If you were on last month's training, we showed a bunch of what the automated tools look like. This is not some genius evil hacker who's in a basement working for years to get you. They're just running automated tools. This person does not have an iPhone in real life, so that was one of the things that got it. But it had had the right number of digits, a real bank name. Just going back to that one, if you see any email, and we've seen an uptick of these recently, anything that says wire transfer, just stop. Good chance it's fake. This one is another variation of that same request. This is from another user reported. This came from a boss to an employee. Hey, employee, I need to make a wire transfer today. Are you available to assist me? Then the employee replied back, now not knowing they weren't actually replying to the boss. Hey, anything you need, you know I'm always here for you. Just send me the details. And then they get the details back. So this one relies on a reply. But some of these, in terms of theme and variations, they might say, hey, hope you had a great vacation. Can you help me out on this? With the confidence trick, they're trying to build trust. Like even that other one, sent from my iPhone. It sort of makes it look familiar. They might put some other, hope you had a great weekend or something in there to sort of lower your guard. If you see the word wire, stop. Now, you might say, well, how does this get through? So what they rely on is they send out a bunch of this stuff, and in low volumes from a spam detection point of view, but they do send out a lot of these. They move around to different identities, different IP addresses, because one user asked, can we block this with a spam filter? The thing is they just keep changing their identities. Now, on this case, the spam filter does block it in the next round. So now, if you go in, and this isn't something an end user would do, but we can go in as administrators, we look at the mail log, and we can see line item by line item how stuff was scored. The next responses were then blocked, because at this point, there's enough worldwide traffic that something's going on. Hey, there's some IP address wherever. A lot of them are foreign. A lot of traffic comes from the site in Russia, and then they get stopped. But it just takes that first one to get through. If a little volume can get through, they will get stopped, but not instantaneously, and that's the key. Watch out for similar domain names. A common trick that's being used these days is they might register a domain name that looks very similar, might be off by, instead of example.com, it has an extra A. You wouldn't even notice it in a long domain name. They're opening up these domain names, blasting out a ton of emails, and then they're just shut down and they move on and they hide. So a misspelling that you would never even notice could be in there. So symptoms, if you do suspect, in terms of a virus, if you get an infective system, it might be slow. Icons on your desktop, web page redirects. You may also get no symptoms at all. You may have what's known as a dropper. We have a recording of last month's training. A dropper is just communicating to the outside world and kind of waiting to do its damage. So to wrap up, we're about at the 20-minute mark. I know people need to get back to work. Think layers for security. A lot of people ask us, hey, I set up everything, so I'm done, I'm all set. Security is not a set it and forget it thing. It changes all the time. The threats change all the time. Mass data security law, HIPAA, require employee education and training. Get all the layers. If you don't have a business class firewall, if you bought something from Staples 8 years ago, you're kind of doomed. If you're still running Windows XP, you're not getting security patches. But if you're following best practices, get all the layers in place, make sure you have a rock solid backup, and then make sure your employees are aware of what to open and not to open, because again, as stuff gets more secure, these tricks get more and more sophisticated. All right, and with that, I want to thank you for joining us, And to get more information, we have a blog. Follow us on Twitter. We post news that's relevant for small business technology. We record our training on our YouTube channel. And thank you so much. And any questions, give us a call anytime. Thank you.